good evening. Welcome to Cardiff City TV.
Wilson, a little bit of space for Harry Wilson. Strikes it, goal! Oh, what a goal! Morrison, goal!
Well, preparations at the Vitality Stadium are well underway this evening as the Bluebirds look to take on AFC Bournemouth. Kick-off at 7:45 p.m. I'm Amy James. I'm joined by John Donovan, and we're here to talk you through the build-up to tonight's game and what we can hopefully expect. Well, Bournemouth are currently 2 positions above us in the league. They are 6th, we are 8th. John, what do you think we can expect from tonight's game?
I think it might be a little cagey, Amy. Certainly talking to fellow Cardiff City fans today, for the Bluebirds, it's a question maybe of not getting beaten. A win would be great, but certainly don't let Bournemouth open up those a gap with us. But I think it'll be cagey early doors. I think, and we'll go through it in a moment, I think there's 2 teams matching up in formation. I think winning those battles in the middle of the park are going to be key. But it's just exciting we're in this position to be in a game against Bournemouth where a win with a couple of goals could maybe take us into the playoffs. So exciting times with Cardiff City. It
is exciting. Now, before we get too excited, let's talk about last Saturday in what was an exciting game. There's so much to talk about that game against Preston North End. I mean, let's start with an obvious, perhaps Dylan Phillips, a clean sheet and 2 penalty saves in quick succession. You really can't ask for too much more from your keeper, can you?
You can't, and Ash and myself were speaking on the audio commentary saying it's this quirk of fate that Cardiff City have had over the last decade to have 2 fantastic goalkeepers at any one time. You think back to David Marshall and Tom Heaton, and of course Neil Etheridge and Alex Smithies, and now Alex Smithies and Dylan Phillips. And Alex Smithies, you know, player of the year or certainly player of the last 12 months. Unfortunately, he has that illness against Bristol, and if you're a player coming in any position, but particularly goalkeeper, where there's only one person who can play that position, you've got to seize your chance, and Dylan Phillips has seized that. I've got to be honest, Amy, I've been watching football for 30 plus years. I've never seen anything quite like that on Saturday. The elation of that first penalty save with the absolute then annoyance of a second penalty being given. And law of averages say that second penalty goes in. I expected that second penalty to go in. Dylan Phillips had other ideas. But it wasn't just about the penalty saves. He made another couple of good stops. I've got to say, the 3 centre-halves in front of him are looking after him and commanding those areas. So right now, it's kind of a good situation for Cardiff City. And of course, Alex Smithies waiting in the wings with all that experience. And
it's not just defensively that Cardiff City are looking good at the moment. Of course, 4-0 being an emphatic result. Another goal for Josh Murphy, Marlon and Mark Harris joining him on the score sheet. And of course, Kiefer Moore with his 14th goal of the season. I mean, attacking-wise, are Cardiff City proving themselves to be a real threat to others in the league now?
I think they are, but I think it's credit to Mick McCarthy again and changing this system, the system we've talked a lot about. I think earlier in the season we were pretty one-dimensional. It was going up to Kiefer Moore and trying to build off him, and really he was fighting and feeding off scraps. I think now we've got more options. I think we've got Josh Murphy and Harry Wilson looking to play between the lines. I think we've got wing-backs trying to get up in and around. So I think we've got more options off the ball, and you know, whoever the 2 midfielders are, Will Vokes and either Marlon Pack or Joe Rawls, rather than now just looking to hit Kiefer Moore, they've got a few options around, and it just draws other teams out. It splits the lines between kind of full-backs or wing-backs and centre-halves, and Kiefer Moore has just got a bit more room to play in. So, yep, we do have those players. We thought we had those players. It's great to see Josh Murphy playing with a smile on his face. But, again, I say credit to Mick McCarthy and Terry Connor for changing the system and meaning that when we are on the ball, we've got more options than just looking to go forward to Kiefer Moore.
Now, a win tonight and a 2-goal swing will see Cardiff leap up there into those playoff.
Hopefully we'll
yes,
get there.
very
Hopefully
hopeful.
We'll get there.
Wishful thinking
Yeah.
into the playoff position, which is remarkable again, given where we were really not that long ago. So it'll be 6 wins on the bounce should we win tonight. I know you like a stat, John. Mm-hmm. It would be our 5th consecutive away win, which we haven't done since 2013. You've talked about options already, but do you think this team has what it takes to match that quality?
I think they do. I think, Mick McCarthy, and we're going to hear from him shortly. I watched the press conference yesterday. And he knows this is probably his toughest test as Cardiff City manager thus far. He's been playing teams either perhaps below us or in and around us. Now we're looking to play a team and beat a team above us. But he's confident that if we match Bournemouth in terms of work rate and win the battles, that we've got quality to score goals. I would, if someone offered me a point now, Amy, I'd snap your hand off, because it doesn't allow Bournemouth to open a gap. And I've looked at their fixtures. They've got Watford on the weekend. They've got what you imagine will be a new manager bounce in Bristol City after that with Nigel Pearson. So, you know, and Jonathan Woodgate in there, he hasn't exactly had been met with a lot of enthusiasm from the fans on his appointment. So Bournemouth are vulnerable. I think it's a tough place to go. I think they're still a quality outfit. So I would take a point tonight, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cardiff went there and won the game. Certainly, we've got the players to do so.
And on that note, let's take a look at the lineups for this evening, starting with Cardiff City, an unchanged team for the Bluebirds. No surprise there, Dylan Phillips in goals. Aidan Flint and Curtis Nelson joining skipper Sean Morrison there at the back. Perry NG, Will Vokes, Marlon Pack, Joe Bennett with Harry Wilson, Josh Murphy, whose birthday today, happy birthday to Josh, and Kiefer Moore up front. Just taking a look at the bench there for Cardiff City. Alex Smithies, Kieran Brown, Joel Bagan, Tom Sang, Leandro Bacuna, Johnny Williams, Shea Ojo, Mark Harris and Max Waters. John, I'll hand over to you for the away lineup.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It looks like, and I was discussing this with Ash via WhatsApp when the teams came out, you know, the feeling he was getting from the Vitality Stadium. I think they've matched us up. I think they've gone through it. They did play three at the back against QPR on Saturday when they lost. Chris Metham, the Welsh international, has dropped out. I'm not sure Jonathan Woodgate is a huge fan of him in the games they've played so far. Veteran captain Steve Cook comes back in, but it looks like three at the back. It also looks like they've matched up with two holding midfielders and then a couple of players, you know, just like Murphy and just like Wilson playing behind a central striker. So for Bournemouth, the Cherries, they line up Asmir Begovic in goal. We think from left to right, a left wing back Diego Rico, three centre halves then of Lloyd Kelly, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and returning captain Steve Cook. Adam Smith then right wing back. Jefferson Lerma, who Neil Warnock wanted to sign for Cardiff City, he's going to be one of the holding midfielders alongside Lewis Cook. Jonas Stanislav, who is their joint top scorer so far this season, I think he'll line up with Philip Billing in sort of advanced midfield positions with former Swansea loanee Sam Surridge up front. So I think, and Ash might correct me when we talk to him in a moment, he normally does, but I think Bournemouth have actually matched us up everywhere on the park, so it's going to be a really intriguing encounter.
Right, John, well, that's the teams for this evening. Now, let's hear from the man in charge, the man who's responsible for City's current fantastic run of form. Here's Mick McCarthy speaking at this week's pre-match press conference.
I do put a lot of store in man management and players and how you treat them, how you speak to them, how you coach them. TC is the same, very much hands-on. Yeah, trying to create a good atmosphere in the place that people enjoy coming to work in. And if you've got that, you've got a better chance of winning games for sure. There's a different feel to this game, of course. It's now a big game that we could get into the playoffs if we win it. But equally, you know, they'll be feeling it. The last thing they'd want to do is drop out of the top six, Bournemouth. So I understand the feelings from both clubs. But I keep stressing, all we can do is that momentum that you talk about is come out of good performances. So everybody be prepared, everybody look after their own performance, help each other, play as well as we can. And if we do, quite clearly, we've got the ability to win games in this league. And it's a huge game for us. It's a very, very good squad of players that they've got. And, well, they started really well. They've just had a bit of a blip, but they've been winning games. Jonathan's had some good results. Apparently not played well. Who's bothered? You win games. If you keep winning games, and there will be a spell, and I know when being in that top six, that brings the pressure because you don't want to drop out of it. For the rest of us chasing, you just keep trying to get results, hope you get in there. And then when you do, that's when the pressure comes, so you don't drop out of it. In saying that, all those games that we were playing in teams around us, we were under more pressure then because we had people we were looking at the relegation 7 games ago. I said if we'd have lost at Bristol, we would have been in dire straits. So does it add more pressure? It's a great game to go and play against a team that are now, but I still think they're one of the favourites to finish in the top 6. So it's a good test for us. Yeah, it's a different test against, I would say, a stronger squad and one that's a bit more fancied than some of the others that we've played. But I'll tell you what, none of the other games were easy, let me tell you that. There's been pressure on every game. I mean, when we went to Barnsley, so we went to Bristol City, if we'd have lost that, we could have been, with the results that went, we could have been 17. It was, you know, that's the difference in this league. I'm not putting any pressure on anybody. Just, I said, keep performing the way we're performing and we've got a better chance of winning games. And if we win them, then if we win more than them, we'll catch them. But just by playing them tomorrow, what, we got 14 more after this, is it? It doesn't really matter that. It just matters the performance, and then we'll see what happens with the result. And wherever we end up, it's at the end of the season that matters, not tomorrow morning or Thursday morning.
And that was the gaffer there talking about pressure. Now, we should be joined by Ashley James. There he is. Ashley, the manager talking about pressure there. I guess pressure for both teams tonight. Them to keep their place in the top 6, us to get into that top 6. What are your thoughts on tonight's fixture?
Hi both. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's huge pressure on both sides. From Cardiff's point of view, of course, trying to keep this run of momentum going. You know, it's been fantastic the last 4 or 5 weeks. You know, the change in confidence and the air around the place more than anything else has been superb. I mean, you can easily detract from it if you want to. You know, I won't denigrate what work's been done here. But you know, detractors will, and they will say that the Cardiff haven't beaten anyone in the top half of the table in this run. In fact, actually, you know, we've only won 3 games all season against teams currently sat in the top half of the table, and not one of those since Stoke in December. So this evening, I think, is a real good litmus test for that, to see exactly what we can do against a good Bournemouth team. But of course, we gave a good Bournemouth team a good game earlier in the season when we weren't exactly full of confidence ourselves, and I thought we really matched up well with them on that occasion. Harry Wilson with the goal against his former team, and I think, you know, it's a Bournemouth team as low in confidence as Cardiff are gaining at the moment. Yet they've got key absentees. They've got some coming back, a stronger bench than they've had in the past. New manager as well, but I do think they're a team at a low ebb in terms of confidence, which is the complete opposite to the Bluebirds.
Ash, first of all, another great hat. I tried a hat in a pre-game show a couple of weeks ago, but I can't pull it off like you. So I envy you on that. You're going to tell me I'm wrong here, but it looks to me like Bournemouth are matching up. And is that sort of testament to the force that Cardiff City are becoming? That perhaps in the last few weeks of the Neil Harris era, we were tinkering with formations. We were trying to contain teams. It looks tonight like Bournemouth may be matching up to possibly contain us.
Possibly. I think Cardiff have stumbled somewhat into a pretty tasty strike partnership now, haven't they? You know, you suddenly have that classic big powerful number 9 in Kiefer Moore, and the run off the shoulder front man in Josh Murphy. And I think teams are looking at how you combat that. They want somebody to go and engage Kiefer Moore physically, and equally they want somebody with a bit of pace in their back line to be able to recover and follow those runs in behind Josh Murphy. The last thing they want to do is to try and play a really high defensive line and get caught. So I think teams are looking at how to combat that, and I think maybe squeeze the space in front and the delivery and play 3 at the back. So I think you're right. I think teams are looking to different ways in how they combat Cardiff. I also think it's a little bit of culture at the moment. I think football culture is swayed in the way that teams are looking, because they want to play 3 at the back. It's in vogue again to try and get wingers involved and to try and get attacking players like Josh Murphy and Junior Stanislas, actually, for Bournemouth, trying to get them involved a bit more centrally and involved in a game where they can make an impact and not just chalk their boots and wait for the 5 to 7 times a half the ball's going to make its way out to them on the flank.
Just focusing on Bournemouth, Ash, a couple of questions. First of all, on Jonathan Woodgate, I feel a little bit of him at the moment. He's getting criticism basically because he's not Thierry Henry. He's done a decent job in his 4 or 5 games there, but a Bournemouth a little bit, emotionally vulnerable almost because there's some unease around the club. And just in terms of threats tonight, I know Philip Billing is someone when he played for Huddersfield that both you and I as amateur scouts looked at and thought he'd be a great player in a blue shirt for Cardiff City. He could be a real threat tonight.
Yeah, I thought there were two teams in the Championship this summer, John, that made really naive appointments and both went internal with them. That was Bournemouth and Bristol City. Both teams varying degrees of success. Of course, Bournemouth had that time in the Premier League. Bristol, but just kept hitting that glass ceiling that Cardiff did, 10, 12 years ago, where they couldn't quite make the playoffs even. I thought they both still had good squads. They're both well-run clubs. They're both good managers in Lee Johnson and Eddie Howe. I thought what had happened in both clubs, it had gone stale and it needed a fresh approach. So to go the risk-adverse option of going internal, I thought it was a poor appointment on both parts, and it's taken them a little bit longer to make the decision on that, but obviously been proved right on that because they have needed freshening up. Is Jonathan Woodgate the man to freshen up Bournemouth? I don't know. It didn't work out for him at Middlesbrough, but I have as much sympathy for him for that time in Middlesbrough as I do that you're talking about now with his introduction at Bournemouth, because I imagine we're going to be talking about this again come 2:30 on Saturday ahead of the Borough game. But Middlesbrough rather, have been a team like Cardiff in this flux of transition, wanting to progress as a football team on the pitch, but ultimately going back to the tried and trusted and want what they know with alternate managerial appointments. The problem with Woodgate, he took over a Tony Pulis squad of players largely that he wanted to try and play progressive football with. It didn't work, and he wasn't backed in the transfer window because it was, after years and years of spending at the Riverside, they cut the purse strings a little bit, and they brought in predominantly 3 or 4 players from League One, 2 of which are now actually ironically integral to Neil Warnock's team, but the other ones, pretty hastily were sent back to League One on loan because it didn't work out. So I do feel for him, and I think in terms of a footballing scenario with what he was trying to achieve at Middlesbrough, he's obviously in a far better scenario with personnel at Bournemouth. Philip Billing, I think he's an exceptional player. I think he can drift in and out of games, but a lot of good attacking players in the Championship do. That's why they're Championship players, not Premier League players. I do think he allows them, certainly in the team this evening, he allows them to drop in and make up a midfield 3 a lot easier than than Harry Wilson doing that for Cardiff. So they could solidify the ranks in the middle of the park a little first, but equally you're right, he can play that role just off a striker and he can be devastating from that area. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see what they go for there.
Ash, last quick one from me. I'm full of either nerves or wind, one or the other, I'm not sure. Would you take a point tonight?
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly. The cynic in me as a Cardiff fan my whole life would absolutely take a point on the road in the Championship, especially on the back of such a good run of fixtures. I think, do we need a win?
Oh, Ash, I think we've lost you. Okay,
he just didn't want to answer that one, Amy, so...
We'll let us shoot off to set up for comms anyway. And on that note, let's head over to 2 men who are very much in the thick of things at the moment. That's Aidan Flint and Will Vokes, and they spoke earlier this week about the importance of keeping a level head and taking things one game at a time.
Yeah, well, Bournemouth, on paper, Premiership team still. They've done well since Woody's gone in as caretaker manager. Listen, we're not getting ahead of ourselves. We'll treat it as any other game we've treated this season, and go there, put our own stamp on the game, and try and come away with 3 points.
Yeah, I don't think the result will play a part in the end result of the season. I genuinely don't, but you're not wrong in saying that it would be great to beat them. Of course it will be. I think it would make us jump them regardless of what, someone else might be able to go ahead of us. I haven't checked, but, it would make us catch another team, maybe on goal difference. So it's great. So yeah, win there is fantastic. But we have just won 7 unbeaten, just won 5 on the bounce. We're just looking to try and make it 6 on the bounce. Great. If not, a point at Bournemouth's not a bad result. So we've put ourselves in a great spot, and Bournemouth and Borough next 2 games. There's no denying the big games, but I think there'll still be 13 games after that.
We defend from the front, and everyone's bought into it. I mean, we had a little stint of 3-5-2 at the back last season, and this season it didn't work for whatever reason, but we're looking really good at the minute. We're looking solid, good shape, knowing when to press and not to press, and when to just sit and let teams not pile pressure on us, but get frustrated with themselves and force them into a mistake, and we can go on a counter from there.
Like, don't forget, 3-5-2 we're playing, or 3 centre-halves with 2 wing-backs, depending 5 at the back or 3 at the back, however you want to look at it. That is a big change, so there's not going to be loads of different things other than that. But the fact we've had Saturday, Tuesday, or Saturday, Wednesday, there's not that much time to do tactical work on the training field. So it's all been TC's brilliantly come around and speak to all of you individually about certain things. I don't want to give everything away, but we have changed, a bit tactically. Second balls are so important, so just little tweaks on how to win them, where people are running when the ball's in a certain position. There are things that we've done, we've not just changed shape and gone, oh, go on, go and play. There's more things, but I couldn't go into everything. I think having the big 3 centre-halves, I can't see a centre-half that's more physical than any of those 3 in our league. And they just have to head it and kick it, and he's happy with that, and we're happy with that.
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Still alive for Cardiff. Ojo looking for a flicked header. Hoyle done really well up against Meckham. Ojo in there again, dispossesses. Hoyle, go on, cut back. Yes, Wilson, yes. Bottom corner. And Cardiff are level. Minutes after, he saw a free kick pushed onto the crossbar by Asmir Begovic. Harry Wilson does open his Cardiff City account.
Equalised, and it's Bruno Manga from a set piece with a bullet header, and it's his 3rd goal of the season, and in the 61st minute Cardiff City get the goal they deserve.
By Bournemouth, headed wide, Whittingham gets his crossing, danger here, and that's a goal for Cardiff City, and it's headed in by Sean Morrison.
That's the best delivery we've seen from a wide area all day long, floated in by Whittingham beautifully, enticing for Sean Morrison to get up. He attacks it beautifully.
United now on the far right touchline, coming forward, a little bit of space for McNaughton to cross, goes in field to Whittingham, space for him to shoot. What a goal that is. A little bit of space on the edge of the area, tiny little drag back. Whittingham killed that, overfly even into the corner of the net. And Ravel does well to keep that alive. Now here's Whittingham, needs to find a teammate, has Joe Rawls on his left foot, strikes, what a goal, Joe Rawls!
Fantastic goal. It's great closing there. Matt Colony did ever so well. He's nicked the ball up quickly, got a little run, kept possession, and what a finish. What an absolute screamer of goal that is from Joe Rawls, right in the top corner.
And with just a few minutes to go until kick-off, that's it from us here in Cardiff. If you're watching with us on YouTube, don't forget to jump over to Cardiff City TV to follow all the action with us. If you haven't yet got your match pass, don't forget you can still do so on the official club website. So for now, I'll hand you over to the capable hands of Mark Denham and Ashley James on comms at the Vitality Stadium.
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV.
Wilson, a little bit of space for Harry Wilson, strikes a goal, oh, what a goal, Morrison, goal!
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, John. And welcome to the Vitality Stadium, home of the Cherries. AFC Bournemouth back in this division after a at times promising tenure in the top flight. It's 6th against 7th this evening. My name's Mark Denham. Ashley James alongside me. And as you can see from your pictures, the Bluebirds are out ahead of this, what has become, Ash, a really significant game.
Yeah, it has. It's an opportunity for Cardiff to lay down a bit of a marker this evening. You know, Cardiff are in great form and they've really turned things around in terms of their own fortunes. And the detractors will say, look, they haven't beaten anyone good in that time. Well, they've got an opportunity here this evening. You know, Cardiff. It is true we haven't beaten anyone in the top half of the table since December. I draw the line at saying we haven't beaten anyone good, because I think I still think if you look at the middle of this table, we've seen teams do what we've done, climb close to the playoffs and then drop away. We saw teams start the season hot and fall away. So again, you won't hear me denigrating what's happened at Cardiff City in the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's been a remarkable turnaround.
Quite agree with you. That's the Bournemouth lineup this evening, and this is how we think they'll shape up. Slightly different to Cardiff, with Stanislas playing in the hole behind Sam Surridge, but certainly 3 at the back and wing backs for Bournemouth. And as for the Bluebirds, well, no changes. None in the 11, none on the bench. It's as you were, following the win against Preston on the weekend. Kiefer Moore leading the line with birthday boy Josh Murphy alongside him, both scorers against Preston. And I heard you and JP discussing it earlier, Ash, and saying would it take a point? Of course you would, away to Bournemouth. Absolutely. But we've been spoiled, haven't we?
We absolutely have, and you forget that certainly in the Championship, when people talk about going on, a run of form, it doesn't necessarily mean winning games. Usually in the Championships, in the volume we have, it usually means in a normal season you try and piece together these long runs of result where you win your home games and you pick up results away from home, especially at the moment when, this is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but this is the 4th out of 5 midweek away games. We're in this run at the moment where we're playing at home on the weekend, or have been, and playing midweek away. And, the travelling takes its toll on players as well. So to keep turning over points in midweek away games is pretty special, and it'd be a good signifier to see what we've got left in us in the rest of the season.
Taking the knee, Bournemouth kicked off, believe it or not, so they're going to have to restart that.